November 17, 2020. This is a regular city council meeting. Due to ongoing COVID-19 pandemic emergency, we have to continue handle our city council meeting much different than we usually do due to the protection of public and staff. Now I'm going to ask our city manager to give a brief explanation to the public.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Manager Lorenzo Hines, and good evening. This meeting of the Galt City Council is being conducted by teleconference/video conference in compliance with the state and county stay-at-home orders and as allowed by the Governor's Executive Order N29-20, which allows for a deviation of teleconference rules required by the Brown Act. Members of the public will see the council members and city staff who are appearing via remote video/telephone connections. City council meetings will be held by teleconference or video conference until further notice. Today's agenda states that rather than attending in person, residents may submit written public comments via email to pubcom@cityofgalt.org prior to the council meeting. Any written comments that were received will be read out loud during the city council meeting by the city clerk on the appropriate agenda item, subject to the customary 5-minute time limit, unless the same individual also appears and requests to speak live during the meeting. We will take the live comments first, and then the written comments will be read out loud. We are continuing to use the webinar format that allows the public to provide live public comment using the Zoom webinar feature. Members of the public may use the link to enter the webinar as attendees. They should also be able to use the raise their hand option in the Zoom webinar to let us know if they would like to speak or should do so when the mayor announces the time for general public comment or when a specific agenda item is called if your comment concerns an item on the agenda. We request, as we typically do in an in-person council meeting, that speakers provide their names and addresses when they are called on to speak and their line is unmuted. Attendees should also see a lower hand feature if they change their minds and do not want to speak. If you do not see these features in the Zoom module you are using, it may be that you are using software that's not up to date or because of another technical issue on the user's end. That concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Call the meeting in order. Tina, may I have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano,
Here.
Councilmember Farmer,
Here.
Councilmember Campion,
Here.
Councilmember Lamson, Mayor Sandu.
Here. Please rise the silent prayer and flag salute. Flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Tina, please read replay statement.
This meeting of the Galt City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at www.zacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will air Friday, November 20th at 9 a.m. and Saturday, November 21st at 9 a.m. A DVD copy is available for checkout from the Sacramento Central Library.
Thank you. Next agenda item, council, any agenda approval, addition or deletion? If it's not, I'm going to move to the next agenda item, presentation. We have several presentations this evening. Our first presentation is Proclamation for Fire Chief Michael W. Mclaughlin. Tonight we would like to proclamation of the Fire Chief Michael McLaughlin. City of Galt, California, honoring Michael W. McLaughlin. Whereas Michael W. McLaughlin began his career in 1988 as a reserve firefighter with the Contra Costa County Consolidated Fire Protection District. And whereas Michael was hired by Consumers Fire Department in 2014 as Deputy Fire Chief. And whereas in 2017, Michael was promoted to Fire Chief of the Consumers Fire Department. And whereas Michael is a designated Fire Chief Fire Officer by the Commission on Professional Credentialing, a graduate of Executive Fire Officer program at the National Fire Academy and is a member of Institution of Fire Engineering. And whereas Michael has an Associate of Science degree in Fire Technology from Yuba College and Bachelor of Science degree in Fire Department Administration from Cogswell Polytechnical College. And whereas Michael has been a licensed paramedic in California since 1990, and whereas Michael is a California director for the Western Fire Chief Association, the chair of Western Fire Chief Wildfire Policy Committee, the legislative director for the California Fire Chief Association, and the past president of League of California Cities Fire Chief Department. And now, therefore, we it's resolved that the City Council of the City of Galt, California thanks Michael W. McLaughlin for his dedicated service to the Consumers Fire Department and Galt community and wishes him success in his future endeavor. Thank you, Michael, and we congratulations you. I personally thank you for your service and good luck on your retirement. Is Michael is on the line or no?
Yes, sir. Mayor Sandu, thank you, council members. Thank you so incredibly much for just a wonderful proclamation. Incredibly awkward hearing people read about you and I guess what you've done in your career, but I'm very touched and very honored. Having had the ability to work with all of you and work with staff over the years has just been an amazing experience. Obviously, this year, as we've talked about already this evening, you know, the impacts of COVID have obviously prevented that from being the case. But I'm just so very grateful having had the opportunity to serve the community of Galt and be able to provide all the support I can to the men and women with the boots on the ground who are here to deliver that exceptional service each and every day to the residents of your community. I am truly touched and honored and very grateful for this proclamation, and it means a great deal to me, and I wish I could be there to shake all of your hands in person. My very best to each of you and your families in this very difficult time, and Godspeed to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any council member want to make any comment? Any? Sean Farmer, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, I just wanted to say thank you for your service. And I heard you mention that it seems like my daughter and I share alumni with you. She also went to Cogswell Polytechnic. So I know it's not a real big school, so it's kind of funny. I'm sure it's a lot different now than when you went there. But anyways, thank you for your service to Galt. And you know, we haven't had a lot of interaction, but I know that you and I did have some interaction on the safety committees a couple years back. And so your input was always valued. And so I wish you luck in your retirement. Hopefully you don't get bored.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Go ahead, Campion.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say congratulations and enjoy whatever time or whatever you plan on doing with more free time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Hines. Mr. Hines, do we make a motion on
Oh.
this item? Or?
Don't forget Councilmember Lamson, Mayor.
Yeah, right. I'm still waiting for 2 more council members. But I'm just going to ask you, do we need to make a vote on this one or no?
I don't believe so, but City Attorney Hood will clarify.
No, you do not need to make a motion.
Thanks,
This is just a proclamation.
Go ahead, Council Member Lamson.
Thank you. Chief Mclaughlin, I've enjoyed working with you over these past 4 years, and I just want to let you know how much I appreciate your willingness to educate us all the time. When you were willing to meet with us and educate us and teach us things. And I just want to say congratulations for having the best heart attack recovery rate in the United States. And hopefully your predecessor can maintain the levels of excellence that you have brought us to the CSD. It's just amazing. And we are going to miss you, at the feeds and all that stuff. So, but just have a fabulous time hiking and send us pictures every once in a while.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman.
All right, so Vice Mayor Lozano.
Yes, Chief McLaughlin, thank you for your service to the Galt community. Really appreciate all of that you've done. I have known you since about, I think it was about 2013 or 14. And I'm always honored to have friends come before our council. And I truly see you as a friend, and I appreciate all the friendship over the years, along with the work stuff that we had to get done, but certainly your ability to work with everyone, from the line firefighter to the board member, and I really appreciate that. Good luck to you and your family moving forward. Give Denise our best, and we thank you for your service. I do want to point out one thing, though, that wasn't mentioned in the proclamation. Chief McLaughlin was honored to be the Cal Chiefs Chief of the Year this year, and so that's a huge honor, and shows the level of professionalism and his ability to do the job. So thank you from the Galt community, and personally thank you from my family to yours. We look forward to you not going too far, hopefully, and still getting together from time to time, and enjoy your retirement, and be well, my friend.
Thank you very much, Councilman. However, you'll always be Director Lozano to me, so I'll just retain a little possessiveness there for a moment. But Council, thank you so very much again for this tremendous honor. It really means a whole lot to me, and really my very best to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, again for your service, and good luck with your retirement. Thank you. All right, next agenda item is introduction of Fire Chief Felipe Rodriguez. Mr. Hines.
So with Chief McLaughlin's departure, and Chief, we wish you a happy and successful retirement, and we will miss you. We have our new fire chief, Felipe Rodriguez, and the general manager of the Consumnes Community Services District, Joshua Green, is here to introduce Felipe.
All right, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. My name is Joshua Green, Consumnes Community Services District General Manager. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you this evening. And as council members Lamson and Campion conclude their council terms, I just want to wish them good luck, and thank you for your dedication and support of our firefighters and the community. I also want to just take a quick moment and congratulate all 5 of you on an amazing recent appointment of Mr. Hines, who's been absolutely a pleasure to work with. So great work on that. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Fire Chief Felipe Rodriguez. The district contracted with recruitment firm Peckham and McKinney to conduct a national recruitment process for our next fire chief. In addition, the district conducted extensive outreach, community engagement, and enhanced the recruitment process by advertising the position on various professional networks, including the Professional Diversity Network. In total, we received 55 qualified applications, 44% of those coming from out of state, and this included applicants from outside the United States. After multiple rounds of interviews, the district issued an offer of employment to Felipe Rodriguez. Chief Rodriguez was most recently the fire chief in the city of Folsom and Advanced Life Support Transport Department, which for us and our dedication to patient care and EMS was very important to us as a district in serving the community. He has been the chairperson for the Sacramento County Fire Chiefs Association and the Sacramento Regional Diversity Committee. He has previously worked with the city of Oceanside and the city of Stockton fire departments. Previous positions include fire division chief, battalion chief, fire marshal, captain, and firefighter paramedic. Chief Rodriguez is bilingual, holds numerous certificates and licenses, including his EMT, paramedic, and a chief officer certificate. He holds a bachelor's in occupational studies and a master's in emergency services administration, both from the California State University of Long Beach. He's performed over 9 years of military service, including an active duty deployment with the Joint Task Force in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. We're glad to have him. I think he will serve our community very well. And I'm going to yield the floor now to Chief Rodriguez to offer a few words. Chief.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager, Honorable Mayor and City Council members, and Mr. City Manager. It's my distinct pleasure and honor to serve as your next fire chief. A big congratulations, Chief Mclaughlin, for serving over 32 years in the fire service, most recently here for the Cosumnes Community Services District. But I am very, very pleased to serve this community throughout this entire area. As a matter of fact, my first stop here lived on East Street, and I really enjoyed back in that day going to Galt Frosty and enjoying a nice sundae, or the milkshakes were the best. So moving from this area, staying pretty much around here, but moving out for some time for the military, and then coming back, continuing on with school in the area, and serving the communities in the valley here in Stockton and then up in the Sacramento region. Has been a great honor for many years, and I plan to serve many more. I'm still very young and have many more years to go. So being able to speak fluent Spanish, I really look forward to connecting with the community here in Galt and also up in Elk Grove, and being here for you as your fire chief. So with that, I'll open up to any questions you may have. If not, then I really look forward to meeting with each you and serving this community for some time to come.
Right, thank you. Any council member, any comment? Or... Yeah, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Chief Rodriguez, thank you for deciding to come to Cosumnes Fire Department. I really look forward to working with you in the future, and you have big shoes to fill, but we all hear good things about your abilities and performance, and so we look forward to meeting you and working with you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council member want to make a comment? Or
Sure. I just congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I won't see you much.
We hope.
all right, Farmer.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the same thing. Welcome aboard, and look forward to meeting you. And you are coming aboard in a great city, and so maybe we'll bump into you for the toy drive at the end of on December 5th that CSD is doing, or actually I think it's a week after when you guys distribute the toys. But if you're not aware of that, but we'll probably see you then, if not before. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Lamson.
And I just want to say congratulations. You've got a great district to work in, and hopefully we can get this COVID over, and I really hope you can keep your guys safe, and maybe we will see you at the toy drive, but I look forward to seeing you at community events when we can start having them again.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I would like to say welcome and congratulations to Mr. Rodriguez to the new job. And I also like to thank you, Mr. Green. He's doing an excellent high-level job in giving us the service, Elk Grove and Galt. Thank you, Mr. Green. I know we usually don't met regularly, but yes, we met once a while in special event. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, I'm gonna go along moving the next agenda item.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
Mr. Mayor, sorry to interrupt you. I would like to ask a question. I'm going to need to log off the meeting here for about 15 minutes to take care of a personal urgent matter. I was wondering if we could possibly switch items H2 and H3, which are the end of the meeting, so that the H2 is last. I did have a couple questions regarding that item, and I was hopefully be back before that item comes up.
You're
Wondering if
talking
that
the-
was okay.
H2 is Park and Recreation Department, right?
Yes, if we can move that in the last place of H3 to switch places, if that would be possible, just so I can make sure I'm back before that item. I don't know how quick this meeting's going to go.
So let me ask the other council member, I don't have a problem. Everything okay for the other council members? Lamson,
Yeah, but you're supposed to ask for that when there's a agenda amendments, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize that until right now. It just
Yeah.
came up, so sorry.
okay, all right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, next agenda item, public comments.
Mr. Mayor, there's a couple of more presentations. We have one for the Jingle Through the Market and the,
Mr.
okay.
Sorry about that, I'm going back.
okay.
The next presentation is Jingle Through the Market, Parks and Recreation Department.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'll be inviting Jackie Garcia, our Special Events Manager, to present the Jingle Through the Market event. So go ahead, Jackie.
Jackie, you're available to talk. Jackie? Jackie, I think you have your phone muted. There we go.
I'll tell you
Good
what,
evening,
I'll
Mayor.
take it from here.
Yep,
She
she's
on?
back, Armando.
Okay.
Oh, hello?
Yes, go ahead, Jackie.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. While there will not be a traditional lighting of the night parade this year, we have announced plans for what we're calling Jingle Through the Market, which is the event flyer that's here. Jingle Through the Market will be a reverse Christmas parade where drivers can view parked festive floats from their vehicles. This will be happening on Saturday, December 5th from 6:30 to 8:30. The holiday displays will be set up around the perimeter of the Galt Market grounds, and drivers will be guided to drive slowly through the area to experience the parade from a new perspective, topping it off with the sighting of Santa. We will also be encouraging businesses, community groups to be part of the fun, creating their own unique holiday scenes for attendees to drive through to enjoy the festive decorations from the safety of their vehicles. As we've experienced a great response from the community with past drive-through experiences, this event we have collaborated with the Galt PD to assist with the traffic control plan. You want to switch to the slide? Okay. In addition to being prepared for the standby lane, we will now offer a Elf Express pass, which is going to be $10 per car. Tickets will include an express entrance to Jingle Through the Market, a special holiday cookie package, and hot chocolate. And then I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mondo for the traffic control plan.
So a lot of lessons learned through our trunk or treat event, and one was a traffic. That's where we came up with the fast pass for our for people that don't want to wait in line. Those will be a limited number, only 25 per half hour. And what we did is we came up with this traffic plan with the help of Galt PD. So the one and only entrance will be off of Cibola Avenue, as you can see down across from the pool. Cibola will be closed to northbound traffic, and you can see the setup queue here is in front of you. So I want to assure those who had, we acknowledge that we had problems with our trunk or treat event, and we believe we've fixed those. So also this event has been approved by Sacramento County Health Department. So it is COVID approved purple tier. So we will not have to change it. And I think we're doing a great job with the restrictions that we have. And Jackie and I would be happy to answer any questions anybody has regarding the event.
Any council member have any question, any comments? Vice Mayor Lozano?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Solis, thank you so much for the plan. It looks good. I appreciate you working with the police department on a traffic plan. I did hear a lot of accolades for the trunk or treat, but one of the obstacles that I heard about was the traffic. And in fact, I tried to get in there at one point and wasn't able to. I think that's just an awesome show of from the community. And so, but I appreciate you being proactive and coming up with that plan. I think it's going to work out well. So thank you so much. I appreciate your work on this.
Thank you.
Any other council member want to speak?
Looks good, Armando.
Thank you, Kurt.
Paige Lamson, want to say anything? Thank you. I would like to say thank you, Armando Solis and Jackie Garcia, to arrange this event. Thank you.
We need participants, so you citizens out there, please contact us.
Thank you. Tina Rose, I would like to ask you if anybody hand raised or on the written comment, please let me know all these presentation.
I have no written, no hands raised on the attendee side.
All right, thank you. If anything comes up, let me know, okay?
Will do.
The next presentation is Beautification Committee Annual Report, Fiscal Year 2019-2020. I believe Mr. Hines going to detail because Barbara was the chair of the Beautification Committee. She moved out of state. So,
Right.
Mr. Hines.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Lorenzo Hines, City Manager. I'll be presenting the introductory comments for this report on behalf of the former chairwoman of this committee, Barbara Payne. And so these are Barbara's words or the committee's words. It is my pleasure to present the draft 2019/2020 annual report of the Beautification Committee. Unfortunately, the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic has hampered the ability of the committee to meet and undertake many of its usual activities, and the Beautification Committee has not been able to meet since February. As a result, the committee has not formally adopted this report and thus is presented in draft form until the committee can meet. This report outlines the committee's activities throughout the fiscal year. The committee wishes to thank the Community Development Department, Public Works Department, and the Parks and Recreation Departments. Without their help, the committee could not have completed their activities of the year. And we were also fortunate to have the support of the community volunteers and businesses such as Cow Waste. And so the report, although it's in draft form, does lay out the activities of the committee. And I would just recommend that the council be aware that the committee did make their best effort this year to accomplish the duties prescribed by the council.
Thank you. Any council member, any comment on Vice Mayor Lozano?
Yeah, I thank you, Mr. Hines, for presenting this. It is sad that Barbara is not here to present it with all the work that she's done over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree. I got a chance to spend some time with her about a month ago, and so I feel honored that to spend that time with her and to also present this report for her.
Yeah, I hit mute. I'm sorry. I just, the one other point I wanted to say was just that even though we did have COVID take a lot of our time up, and they weren't they weren't able to be as busy as they normally are, they still did quite a few things, and
Yes, they did.
we really appreciate the work that all of them put into it. Not only Barbara for her many years of service, but certainly the folks that are on the committee now and all that they've done. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other council member? If he's not, then I would like to make a comment. I really thank you, Barbara, not just this year, it's the previous years. She did a lot of community service with this city. And I also like to thank you all other committee members. They did a lot of work for they did a lot of things to this community and keeping the city clean. Thank you. If nobody have no question, then I'm going to move to the next agenda item, the public comments.
Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the city council on non-agenda items. The public comment section is for the city council to receive comments, except for brief responses to questions. No discussion or action may be taken on any item that is not listed on the agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Due to the statewide emergency and social distancing guidelines, public comments may be submitted via email to pubcom@cityofgalt.org and will be read out loud, subject to the customary 5-minute time limitation. Also, members of the public may participate electronically via https://us02web.zoom.us/j//81535088570, webinar ID 81535088570.
Thank you. Next agenda item, report by,
there's no written public comments.
Rose, there is any,
No, there is no public,
Please.
there's no hands raised on the attendee side.
thank you. Reports by city council member on regional board and commissions. Vice Mayor Lozano, anything?
Yeah, just real quick on November 9th, I had a SACOG Policy and Innovation Committee meeting. We heard a couple of items. The largest item was the 2021 work plan for SACOG, and that's going to be coming to the entire board next week on the 18th, and I'll report back. I think it's the 18th. We'll report back on that meeting at our following meeting. We did also talk about some state and federal advocacy things that are going on, and in hopes that there'll be some additional funding for transportation, both from federal and state government as we move forward. That, I mean, there were some other minor things, but those were the highlights. If anybody has any interest, any other questions, I'm available and certainly willing to share the lowlights if you'd like. So that's all I have, and I'll report back on the SACOG board meeting that happens. Actually, it happens this Thursday. So thank you.
Thank you. Council member Campion.
I have nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Council member Lamson.
Nothing to report, except there is no air quality board meeting this month.
Thank you. I believe Council Member Farmer is not back yet, right? I have nothing to report on the regional board meeting. Next agenda item F, information consent calendar. I would like to entertain a motion to approve consent calendar as presented.
I'd like to move the consent calendar items F1 through F4.
Second.
This item is moved by Vice Mayor Lozano and second by Council Member Campion. Tina, may have a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Lozano,
Aye.
Councilmember Campion,
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson,
Aye.
Mayor Sandu.
Aye. Motion passes with 4-0. Thank you. All right, next agenda item is a notice of public hearing. There is no notice of public hearing. And the next agenda item is a regular calendar, city manager's office. Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Mayor Lorenzo Hines, City Manager. We wanted to start tonight's meeting with an update on the COVID-19 pandemic. As you've all probably seen and heard in the local media, we have seen a staggering uptick in cases here in California and nationally. It is very concerning. And so I wanted to, as I was going through these numbers and going through the narrative tonight, to put the document up on screen so everyone can see the document that I'm reading, and perhaps it just furthers the importance of us being careful, being vigilant, and taking care of each other during this time. So we'll start with the caseload in Sac County and Galt. So as you can see here, the Sac County cases, as measured from November 2nd to today, these are the latest numbers as of 10 a.m. today. The number of cases in Sac County has gone up 17% since November 2nd. The number of deaths in Sacramento County has gone up 6%. The number of cases here in Galt has increased 17%. That number is usually 5 to 6%. And so we've got to really be careful here to take care of our citizens. We are fortunate that we haven't lost any citizens, as the number of deaths is holding at 8. Due to the increasing case rates, Sacramento County was moved back to the more restrictive Tier 1 purple effective noon Friday, November 13th, last Friday. As of today, 41 of 58 counties in California have been moved into Tier 1 purple. Sacramento County representatives state that we know this announcement brings a lot of confusion and anger to many people. Keep in mind that the tier assignments are out of the county's control. We had previously submitted an adjudication request because of the trends in our case numbers, but were denied. We are continuing to fight for business sectors in our community. In alignment with the Purple Tier 1, the following sectors are permitted for outdoor operations only: card rooms, satellite wagering, family entertainment centers, gyms and fitness centers, movie theaters, museums, zoos and aquariums, places of worship, playgrounds and recreational facilities, restaurants, and wineries. Bars, pubs, brew pubs, and breweries may operate outdoors if they are offering sit-down outdoor meals. Outdoor operations may be conducted under a tent, canopy, or other shelter as long as no more than one side is closed. In alignment with Purple Tier 1, the following sectors are open for indoor operations. These sectors must still maintain mitigation measures, i.e. social distancing, face covering, and sanitation, and specific modifications in the parentheses below. So this is indoor operations, all retail with a maximum of 25% capacity, critical infrastructure, hair salons and barbershops, libraries, nail salons and electrolysis operations, personal care services, professional sports, shopping centers. In alignment with Purple Tier 1, bars, breweries, and distilleries are prohibited from operating with the exception of those serving sit-down outdoor meals. The counties are required to remain in the assigned tier for a minimum of 3 weeks and must meet the criterion for the next tier for 2 consecutive weeks before being able to advance to the next tier. To advance back into Red Tier 2, Sacramento County needs to have a lower daily case rate. The only way to do this is to do what we know works, says the Sacramento County Health Officer, Olivia Cassier. We all have a part in this, and we must be committed to social distancing measures in public spaces. Again, 6 feet apart, mask coverings, washing hands, sanitation, and avoid gathering with non-household members. And that concludes the remarks that I have on this particular issue tonight, Mayor, but I cannot understate or overstate the urgency of this pandemic and its effect on us as a country and us as a state. And I do hope that those watching tonight are heeding the words of the county and heeding some of the information that I've just read. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any council member want to make any comment?
I have a couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is for the manager. Lorenzo, I understand that, how things have changed and they've gone back. And it seems now, though, we're looking at a minimum of 3 weeks and then possibly 2 more weeks before we see any change, at least at the county level, which would then effectively include Galt. But my question is does anybody monitor those businesses that are not in compliance? I mean, is there any level of monitoring going on to one, either inform them or to, I guess, enforce what these regulations are? I'm a little lost, and I've had people ask me that question.
Mm-hmm. Director Hoffman, do you want to field that one?
Sure. Ever since the pandemic has taken place, we will get code enforcement questions. They do come into this department. And since it's taken place, our focus is education, working with the businesses, making sure that they have all the information they need to move forward. And there is a great deal of frustration, and I think there's frustration on our part as well. We want to see our businesses open. We want to see them thrive. So when we get the complaints, we do reach out to who's getting complained on. And again, a lot of it's education and making sure they have everything to move forward.
I guess kind of a follow-up question. So Sac County does not get involved in the enforcement at all. Is that correct?
Complaints will go to the Department of Health, but typically they send those back to either code enforcement or the police department. And we are somewhat, I don't like using the term the enforcement arm. I like, it's more the education arm. I think there's a lot of times it's confusing. The tiers change, and a lot of folks, they don't know that the change has taken place, or they don't go on the website and they find out. So we try to do as much outreach as we possibly can.
I guess the one that really kind of comes to my mind is restaurants. I mean, clearly, most restaurants owners know whether they're going to be able to serve food inside or not. And I guess my question is, and maybe this is a question to ask the county, because they're in charge of their health department license. That is the license to operate a restaurant. My question is COVID not considered a health hazard in the atmosphere of food preparation and serving in restaurants? So that's really a question, I guess, for the county, because if it is, it would appear that they're jeopardizing a license to operate the restaurant if they consider COVID a health hazard under the guise of that license. So I guess that's kind of my question is how does the county respond to that?
We have not had much of a response from the county from exactly public health. Again, typically it's the community development department, it's the police department that will interact. The agency that we're seeing the most enforcement coming from, to be quite honest with you, is ABC. They interact with them on their alcohol license. And so if anything, that's where we really see the enforcement taking place. In most restaurants, bars or those type of establishments do have some type of alcohol permit. So it's really not coming from public health.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
I have a couple comments if it's my turn, if anybody else wants to go. I just got back on the meeting, so.
Chan, could you hold a minute? Let me, Vice Mayor Lozano.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a couple of quick questions for the city manager. I had heard and I don't keep up with it as closely as some do, but I heard at one point that there was going to be at least a look at doing the tier system by zip code rather than by county, or have you heard anything like that? And what is the possibility or the latest possibility about that?
Well, I haven't heard much about that particular proposal. I know Director Hoffman and our Economic Development Manager, Amy Mendez, follow this issue very closely. But I haven't heard anything about that particular proposal. It makes sense. But Economic Development Manager Mendez or Director Hoffman, any thoughts on that?
I can say just really quick, we do sit on a call, most of the economic development staff throughout the county with Dr. Kasiri and environmental management. We meet about once a month to talk through these issues. And we met last week right before we were moved to purple, knew that we were going to be moved to purple and it was going to be effective on Friday. And the question was brought up, there's a lot of frustration. So a lot of the economic development directors and managers were expressing their concern. And they have put that request in. They've been denied by the state. They actually, because they know that the spread is happening, the majority of it is happening at the household level and social gatherings, that they know it's not directly attributed to businesses for the most part. And so, in restaurants specifically. And so they did make a request to have some consideration given to the restaurants, specifically to the gyms, and they were denied. And so they have made these requests to the state. They have been in communication with the governor's office and public health, and they haven't made any headway. And I think the major concern right now is the rapid increase in the cases throughout the state. So a lot of counties were actually moved from orange directly to purple, even some from yellow to purple. And so without warning, really knowing that the case rates were that high, I think they said that 94% of the population in California is now in the purple tier. And so they've just dramatically gone backwards. And unfortunately, it's really impacting, our businesses directly with our restaurants. Our churches are obviously impacted, as well as our gyms. And so they've, I know, been in communication with the state. They just haven't made any headway. And I think that this is pretty much county to county. We did ask in regards to the enforcement how they were going to be handling this. And according to the county right now, they don't have a means of enforcing outside of ABC at the state level, and then environmental management is involved. They work with code enforcement as well at the county level. But what they've talked about is putting an ordinance in place potentially so that they have a means of fining or citing some of these businesses. And so they're working on that, I think, right now, and we'll probably see that within the next month or so go to the county board of supervisors. So it's unfortunate, it's frustrating, and it's frustrating at all levels throughout the county, and all the jurisdictions are just as upset. It's unfortunate, and I think that they're trying to work for our businesses. They just haven't made any headway with the county or with the state. So
Yeah, I appreciate that update, and if you could just keep us apprised of what's coming down the pike in that respect. And I have shared my frustrations a few times here on our council meetings about it, and I certainly think that it's not surprising, and I'll just make this one comment about this particular issue. It's not surprising that state alcohol beverage control is out doing enforcement. The governor said that the governor threatened businesses back in April with that, not specifically ABC, but state licensing. So I think that honestly, my opinion is that we need to allow local jurisdictions to have a little more control over what happens. But that's just my opinion. The second item or second question I had is we put forward and voted on an emergency municipal code or municipal ordinance a few months back about outdoor businesses being able to function outdoor. And I know we're into the season where being outdoors is not going to be as pleasant as it was back when we considered this. Is there a new push for this, or at least a new education piece being pushed out for our local businesses to take advantage of that again if they're ready?
we definitely are looking at engaging the restaurants again. What we've run into and some of the concern really has been the amount of people to expect. They don't know how to staff for that, knowing how many servers they need to have, and if it's worth it for them to expend the money to put tents up, bring in heaters, to set up in a manner that is somewhat comfortable for folks, not knowing what the weather is going to bring. And so I think that for them, it's just easier to, put their staff, at a level that they know they're comfortable with takeout and with delivery, and kind of monitoring it from there. So that's been most of the feedback that we've gotten from the restaurants we've talked to. Really, it comes down to how much money they have to spend to, for the unknown really of who's going to show up to dine outdoors with the weather, not knowing what it's going to bring, especially now that it's starting to get cold.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate it. I just think whatever we can do to push that out some more to ensure that those who want to take advantage of the opportunity certainly have the ability to. But I get it. It's going to be a business decision on their part, and I think the best that we can do is do what we can to support them. So I'm going to leave it at that, and just hope that moving forward we can do some things differently related to this. And like I said, I think that it should be no surprise that the state is taking the stance that they have, but it is what it is, and I think we'll continue to move forward on it.
Councilmember Lamson.
Yeah, City Manager Hines, just one clarification. When you had the list of nail salons and hair salons, was that the list that could stay open? I was trying to see on the presentation, but I couldn't catch that part.
They are allowed to remain open. Hair salons, personal services, nail salons, they've been added to the purple tier, so they can remain open with the COVID regulations, social distancing, face masks, etc.
Because I guess the contract tracing has really shown not much evidence that you can get infected from that, which it's unbelievable how many families rely on those kind of businesses. I didn't realize there were that many. So that is some good news in the sadness. So All right, thank you.
Councilmember Farmer.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I actually have quite a bit of information for all of you on this. I actually watched the entire Board of Supervisors meeting today. There was an item on the agenda. Well, I caught wind of it being on the agenda, item 43, which was urgency ordinance to step up enforcement. And so they end up tabling the item until December 8th. However, they had extensive discussion and public comment on the matter. I actually wrote a letter in to be read at public comment, which I'll elaborate on that in a few minutes. But basically, just kind of touch on multiple things that were just said right now. The contact tracing has shown, based from Dr. Kasiri and Dr. B, I can't pronounce his last name, but today was that they're only attributing 7% of the new cases to the food industry restaurants. So out of the new positive cases, 7% are attributed. They also discussed gyms and things like that. And gyms were, although they didn't have a percentage on gyms, their exact words were exceptionally lower than that. So much lower. So they're basically stating that they're not really attributing the outbreaks to that particular food industry. So then the discussion obviously went into amongst Don Natoli, Sue Frost, and Supervisor Peters. The three of them mostly were talking, basically what we heard through public comment was if the case count is being attributed to private household gatherings and care home case increases, then why are restaurants and businesses in that particular category being targeted by another shutdown? And they had probably at least over an hour worth of public comment from all sorts of restaurant owners, very significant restaurant owners that own very well-known restaurants, all pleading with the county board to advocate on their behalf to the governor. They did discuss the breaking out of by zip code. The information that came back from that was that they are not being receptive to that at all. That is a big push, but they're just not willing to do that at this point. Supervisor Natoli, obviously our representative in our district, was very adamant. He brought it back over and over and kept pushing. They finally agreed that the board was going to author a letter to the governor on behalf of the smaller the cities in their districts and essentially the businesses, for asking, if we could have some consideration to have the 25% capacity, being that the data that they have and they're working off it doesn't warrant the action that was taken against those particular businesses. So there was definitely a lot of concern, and most of the public comments that came in during this meeting were basically about that. And it was nice to hear our county supervisors really, acknowledging the dire circumstances that these businesses are in, and that outside dining. So there was discussion of outside dining, and there was businesses that called in and said, we have a tent that costs us $5,000 a month to rent, and who's going to really come out and even sit in a tent when it's raining and it's cold out? And so they don't even know if they want to continue paying that. And there was that concern. And so it's just all these different circumstances surrounding this. And so the long and the short of it is, what they were encouraging individual cities to do, as well as business owners, was to write letters. They even one of the doctors said, if you want to advocate for that, we would recommend that businesses write in, write to the clerk's office at the county, so they can have their comments read on the 8th, write to the governor, keep advocating. They need more voices to be heard. And that was really the message that came out of it. My letter in particular was from myself, just representing on behalf of the businesses in Galt, asking, calling out the unfairness that I think is in these mandates being targeted specifically on certain industries that don't seem to be responsible. So I asked for, more of a fair shake for those businesses, and I asked for, careful consideration when it comes to further hard enforcement, when it comes to fining and things like that. It's one thing if you're not being compliant, but it's an analogy I gave was, if a teacher tells her class that if test scores overall for the class don't rise, that the kids are going to lose their recess. And then if those test scores don't come up, you not only penalize everybody, even the kids who are getting A's on their tests, but you're then saying, okay, well, you can go ahead and go to recess, and you can go to recess, and you can go to recess, but those are not based on test scores. They're just random. And that's what I feel like is what's going on. I mean, we have people being penalized that aren't responsible, and people that maybe be contributing or not. So anyways, that's a summary of what I learned today. It was a very enlightening meeting. Then that agenda item was pushed back until the 8th, which is when they're supposed to take action on it. It is an emergency urgency ordinance to ask for further enforcement. So I would recommend anybody in this council, if we as individuals want to do what I did already, or if we want to talk about it as a whole, to kind of ask for a more fair, consistent thing across the board if we're going to have these mandates and enforcement. But if not, if we can't do that as a whole, I would encourage us to do it individually for those of you that want to do that. So I think that's it. That's what I have for you guys on this subject.
Thank you. Any public comment out there?
There are no raised hands on the attendee side.
And no written public comment.
All right, this is a informational agenda item. There is no need for a vote on this one. Then I'm going to move the next item. Sean, you already back, so we don't need to switch this item. All right, next agenda item H2, Park and Recreation Department. Subject, Youth Softball Program. Mr. Solis.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Start the slideshow here. So tonight we'll be discussing our youth softball program. Next slide, please. So the discussion is on September 20th, Galt Parks and Rec received a letter from GYB requesting to add girls softball 6 to 14 to their organization starting next season. GYB is also requesting the use of the sports complex, McCaffrey Middle School softball fields, as well as the snack bar located at the Galt Sports Complex. Traditionally, in other jurisdictions, youth baseball and softball programs for these age groups are run by nonprofit groups, as GYB has done over the past 25 years with the boys. Next slide, please. So some background. In 1995, the City of Galt entered into an agreement with GYB to assume the responsibilities of the boys baseball program for ages 9 to 18 from the Galt Parks and Rec Department, and authorizing the use of fields for these programs. In 2007, they started the boys 5 to 8 year program, which caused our program to plummet, and we eventually eliminated that program for the 5 to 8 year old boys. GYB currently operates the city-owned concession stand located at Harvey Park during their baseball season. Then on September 9th, 2019, City Council voted to eliminate concessions at the sports complex as part of a financial stability plan. So we no longer run that concession stand. We no longer hold permits for it. There are no plans for the future to use it. So let's talk about impact to other programs. And then the two Galt High School softball teams would still be allowed to have their practices and games at the sports complex. There would be no impact to them. Parks and Rec would still control and offer adult softball leagues on Mondays and Thursdays. Galt Parks and Rec would still run the T-ball program for ages 4 and 5 for both boys and girls at Veterans Field. The Galt Parks and Rec would continue to rent space to food truck vendors during most weekend tournaments to still get revenue from that. Then the next slide, please. So by eliminating the girls 6 to 14 age group, player registration revenue would be in the loss of about $27,000. However, associated expenditures with the program would run about $30,240, leaving a net savings of $3,240. The city will also increase revenue through the per player participant fee paid by GYB in an estimated amount of $3,300. So if this GYB request is approved, budget appropriation revisions will be implemented in the mid-year budget process. Next slide. So recommendation of the staff and the Parks and Recreation Commission. At the November 10th, 2020 Parks and Rec Commission meeting, the commission voted 4-0 to recommend the council adopt a resolution allowing Galt Youth Baseball to assume responsibility of the girls softball program for ages 6 to 14 and approving the amended restated license agreement, granting a license to use certain facilities to GYB, including use of the snack bar located at the sports complex. Next slide. So before we take any questions, I want to let you guys know that we have Jason Aspercello. He is the GYB president on the line if you guys have any questions for he or I, but we'd be glad to take those now.
Thank you.
I have one. Can I go, Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead, Lynn.
So I know we had a loss with the snack bar. This is the snack bar at the main complex, right? Not the one at Harvey Park?
They already operate the one at Harvey Park. This would be the one at the sports complex.
So I know you probably said it, but if you could reiterate, we were losing money, so we decided not to open it. So they're going to take complete responsibility by all the products and
Correct.
all that?
Permits, just like they do at Harvey Park.
Okay, that's good to hear. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other council member? Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I did speak. Thank you, Armando, for speaking with me today and answering a few of my questions. But I did want to bring up a couple of those questions just because they were concerns of mine, and then maybe Jason from GYB can kind of elaborate. So overall, I don't think it's a bad idea to. I mean, I think it makes financial sense for the city to do this with savings of $5,400 overall. I think the program itself will open, as Armando told me today, you know, after we discussed, it will open a lot of doors and opportunities for not only from amount of games, but who they can play and the size of the teams. And it's just overall as a larger experience. I know that the team sizes have been dwindling in recent years and so on. But my two concerns were that I brought up to Mr. Solis and that I would, you know, like Jason to hear is that for one, I kind of wanted to hear the vision of what GYB had for the girls softball. I did coach, you know, these girls for 3 years, about 10 years ago. And what I remember is that there was a lot of these girls that this was the only time they could get into sports. You know, these were girls from families that couldn't afford travel ball and the more expensive teams to join. And this was the only, you know, and I've said this before when we've talked about fee structure and things. This is the only opportunity these kids will have to play sports, and I knew that, you know, these families were struggling to pay those. So my question is several questions. One is, what are the cost comparisons? I know it's not going to be the same. I acknowledge that it's a different program, different games, more games, different opportunities. This is going to be a cost increase, but how substantial is the cost increase going to be? Are we going to price out a certain demographic of people that are now in our community that are no longer going to be allowed to play? Because we have a large amount of low-income families in this town who put their kids in rec programs because that's what they can afford. And so I don't want to alienate those young girls. And with that, does GYB have any mechanism in place or any kind of program that works with such families to maybe, you know, do any kind of volunteering or anything that can offset costs in some manner that can make it an accessible program for those? And so those are my two questions mainly. If somebody want to address those, that would be great.
So I'll start on what our programs offer, and then Jason can tell you what his vision is for GYB. Currently, our price range is $85 from the 6-year-olds up to $100 for the 14-year-olds. That gets them 8 games, a playoff game for the older kids. It gets them a T-shirt and a visor. And talking to Jason earlier today, their price point, and if I'm wrong, Jason, please let me know, $160. But they get 16 games. They actually get a jersey, not a T-shirt. And then they're going to actually have the opportunity to play All-Stars should they choose to. And then Jason, can you go over anything else that I might have missed?
Yeah, our fee structure is basically is our 5 to 6 year olds are $100, and that's going to be 12 games plus a single game elimination playoff in our end of the season tournament. The 7 to 8 year olds are $130, and that's 14 games plus a double elimination tournament at the end of the year. 9 and 10 year olds are 150 with 14 games plus the double elimination tournament at the end of the year. 11s and 12s are 160 with 16 games plus double elimination tournament, and 13, 14 is 160 with 16 games in a double elimination tournament. They'll receive, like I said, a jersey. It's not just a T-shirt, it's more of a baseball jersey or a softball jersey, and either hat or visor comes along with their registration. Just the vision, I think, for us is just to grow youth softball in our county, try and get those girls excited and want to continue on to the next level, to high school, and slowly, hopefully, work their way into college. That's our vision, is just to try and bring the community together and to grow the softball community more than what it is right now.
Well, Jason, I do appreciate what you guys have done with GYB. I know that you guys got a great program. I don't know it intimately because I don't have, first of all, I don't have any boys, so I have all girls. So, but I just know people that are involved in your organization and what you guys have done. And I think I do like that you guys have reached out to the community with sponsorships and things. I noticed you guys have, like at Harvey Park, you have business names in the back that you've reached out to try to tap into, some local money to help the program. But circling back on what you said, I something did jump out at me is that, you saying you're trying to, make the program better, and you're trying to get these girls where they can move on to high school and then supposedly on past that. And that's kind of where I was at with my comment. It's like, there is a lot of girls that would normally play rec ball that they're just not going to be those girls that are going to be, they're not going to play high school ball. They're not even going to make the high school team, to be honest with you. But their parents have gotten them involved in sports pretty much for the same reason that most parents want their kids involved in sports. It's for, learning, teamwork and learning what it's like to be competitive and just for physical exercise, which our kids really need nowadays with all the tech stuff going on. And so I am concerned about, a certain demographic of people not being able to afford, $160. I don't doubt the program is going to be so much better. I don't doubt it at all. I imagine it's going to be great. But if I go to a car lot and I'm looking at a Honda and the guy says, well, I have this Mercedes over here and it's, it's 15,000 and not 10,000, you get so much more car for the money. It doesn't mean I can afford the 15,000. I mean, I'm just to give you an analogy. So I am concerned about that. And I'm not saying that you guys won't run a great program, and I'm not saying this is not the right thing to do, but I just do have that concern because I've coached these kids, and I remember, little Mary, mom's working 2 jobs at the drive-through at McDonald's, and Uncle Billy's picking her up from practice because mom's working 2 jobs. I witnessed that firsthand. And these kids, they're using like a hand-me-down mitt they bought from a garage sale. I've seen these kids, and I don't want to alienate those kids out of softball and Galt. And so I don't know what the answer is here. I mean, I did talk to, go ahead if you have a comment.
So sorry to interrupt, council member.
Yeah.
Our goal is not to leave any kid or any child behind. Our goal is to grow our community. That's our biggest goal, whether that's to move on to the next level, move on to high school. Really, it's to grow. My motto is really to make good young adults, good young people, good young men. I always say, because I'm coming from the baseball side of it, we want to make great girls. We want we want to try and include and get those girls to be fired up like baseball is. Our goal is definitely not to price anybody out. And we would do everything in our power to make sure that we're not leaving those kids behind. That's not what we're after. We're after to try and bring those kids and get kids more fired up to be in the outdoors and to do sports. There's a lot of girls that aren't doing those things anymore and are just stuck at home. We really want to try and capture that. And I think with the volunteer base and how we've been so far and what we've done with our league up to here, I think it's just a good opportunity for us to do that. You know, or like I said, our goal is not to leave any child left behind. That's not our goal at all. I know our fee structures are a little bit more, but you know, on some of that too, that a lot of that comes into, you know, I think that we put more money back into our community with what we do in our parks. You know, that's another part of that too. It's not just to, you know, increase fees. It's also beautifying our parks. You know, we've done several renovations. We do scoreboards. We do field things like that. We try and keep everything in order. So I just think it goes a long way.
Yeah, and I do appreciate those gestures, and I do know about, you know, the hard work you guys put back into the fields. I mean, Harvey Park is one of the best looking fields in town, and it's privately maintained by yourself. I think the city does help a little bit on that. I don't know the exact ratio on that, but I do know that you guys do that, and so and I like I said, I am familiar enough with your programs to know that you guys do a great job. But with your comment, I would actually kind of got my wheels turning here. You know, I think what I would like to see is maybe some creative ways that maybe you guys could outreach to the community in a way that would be specifically targeted and getting, you know, at risk. I guess I don't have a better term for it, but at risk girls, you know, or lower income, you know, maybe partnering with some of your sponsors that you work with already and saying, hey, instead of, you know, helping us pay for this, we would like to create a program where we can make sure we don't, you know, no child left behind kind of thing. So if all the kids that want to play sports, regardless of income level, if they can't afford it, we can somehow get them into a program. Maybe it can be as simple as we have a mechanism to help fund gear, you know, because I know it's not just 160, you know, you have a mitt and you have bats and you have backpack and you have cleats. And I mean, pretty soon it's 250, 300. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So maybe there's a mechanism in place that you guys could set up something with some of your sponsors here in town, or maybe even I would love to even help out. I have a very good relationship with a lot of businesses in town, and I can even help you work with them to come up with a funding mechanism that would help with at least, you know, gear or maybe just the fee structures so that we can make sure that nobody's left behind. So I again, I support the idea of you guys taking it over. I think it'll do great things, but I would like to see something get in the works with making sure that we do not just say we're not going to leave you behind, but we actually put something in place that's going to ensure that. So again, I would be more than happy to talk with you outside of this meeting about how I could help, you know, facilitate something like that. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'd love to sit down and chat with you about that and get something going. That, I mean, ultimately that's what we're here to do is to try and get the kids in the outdoor, and however we can do that. You know, I'm open to any suggestions. You know, like I said, we've been doing the baseball thing for a little while. The softball's going to be new to us, so there's going to be some trial and error. So, you know, that there is a good start to get going on things like that.
Well, thank you. And like I said, so we just feel free to reach out to me or I'll touch base with you, you know, and we can see where, you know, how we can maybe work together is to do that. So thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council member? Vice Mayor Lozano?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Sandu. I did have a couple of questions, and I appreciate Mr. Solis and Mr. Hines taking a bunch of their time the last week or so to help me walk through this. Not only it in concept, which I am totally in agreement of. I've said for a couple of years while on this council that we need more public-private partnership. That's what I see. I don't see this as nonprofit taking over one of our programs. I see us partnering in a different way, and so thank you all for you know, taking the time to help me out. One of the questions that I had And I just want to put it out there for the public to understand is in the contract initially, it was just kind of an open-ended contract, and it was a little concerning that we didn't have any check-in points initially or into the contract where we could extend it. And so, but the way the contract reads now, there's a 2-year, at least a 2-year check-in where everything can be reevaluated on both sides, and changes can be made. Certainly, changes can be made as we go, and either side can cancel the contract. It doesn't take 2 years, but I just wanted to make sure that we had those check-in points, and so they are in there now. And there were just a couple of other minor things in the contract. I think it's a good opportunity. Again, like I said, I think it's a partnership between the city and certainly the nonprofit Galt Youth Baseball. Um, there is there is going to be some savings of city money, but more importantly, I think there's more of an opportunity for girls in our community to be a part of a larger organization that has a proven track record of doing good things in our community. And I think that's the piece that's going to really bolster the city. We've had to do some things on this council in the last couple of years to reduce services and reduce and increase fees, and this is going to help, I believe, with that. The other thing I believe that this is going to do is it's going to allow Galt Youth Baseball to have more access to funding. As a nonprofit for girls softball, they're going to have many, many more opportunities, and one of those opportunities may be just the county and this in the city manager's report this last week talked about a TOT grant fund, which I passed on to Mr. Adversello to take a look at, to see if that's something that they might be able to get involved in. And so I know they're going to actively look at that. So that's another thing. The other thing I believe that it does is it allows a few more access to a few more volunteers. Sorry. Nonprofits have a special way, I believe, especially in our city, of recruiting volunteers, and much more opportunity, I believe, than our park and rec department. But that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing for both the kids and the volunteers. And so I did meet with Mr. Adversarlo this week and in doing my research and homework on this item. I do have this background. I am impressed with his vision. And it's not just his vision, but he relayed the vision of his board to me. And I think there's great things that are going to come ahead for this. I'm kind of putting my feet in the water to see what I can do to help them out in terms of equipment and things like that. And so I think if we all pull our heads together, we can certainly give them a better opportunity to be successful right from the beginning. And will there be bumps in the road? Absolutely. But I think that's the right board at the right time. And this is the right thing to do. So I'm certainly willing to support staff's recommendation. And if there's no other comments, I'd like to move the item to approve staff's recommendation.
Vice Mayor, still, I'm going to ask Council Member Campion.
I have no comments.
Okay, thank you. Now I can entertain the motion moved by.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, there's Councilmember Lamson.
Sorry, just want to congratulate you guys for coming up with this. No Child Left Behind means something different to me being a teacher, but I know we have prices go up, and as we lose funding, we can't expect the city government to pay for everything. So I really appreciate that you guys have come up with this alternative. So hopefully there'll be some scholarships and things available to the kids that are needy. But if the alternative is to raise prices or not, we could lose the whole program. So I think this is a great way to save the program. And remember, Amy Mendez and the development, they've been trying to come up with some ways to increase the funding. So Some of those ideas weren't well received. So just remember that when we're talking about ways to increase some funding and things when we start saying no, but really keep your minds open to what the future holds for the city. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, can I make one quick comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want people to think that this is about money. I think this is a good home for the girls program. Again, we've had a partnership with Galt Youth Baseball for over 25 years. I will sit here and tell you publicly that they are the best nonprofit that we work with. They give back to the city. They maintain their fields. They put money back into the parks and facilities they use. So I don't want anybody to be confused that this is about money. This is about a good home for that girls program. So I just wanted to make that statement.
Thank you. We have a motion out there moved by.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to note that there's no public comments on this item.
Anybody?
Additionally,
Hands
there is
raised?
no hands raised on the attendee side.
Thank you. Do you have any second?
I'll second.
Motion moved by Vice Mayor Lozano, second by Council Member Lamson. Tina, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano,
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Campion,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamson,
Aye.
Mayor Sandu.
Aye. Motion passes with 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next agenda item is H3, subject green zone designation. Mr. Selling?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Mike Selling. I'm the Public Works Director. So this item for consideration, and the PowerPoint is coming up here, it looks like. So this item is for the city to consider designating a green zone within the city limits. Next slide. So what is a green zone and why is this something the city should consider? To start, the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, or SACOG, initiated a program they call Green Means Go back in early 2019. The program's purpose is to meet the Air Resources Board's emissions reduction target, which is 19% by the year 2035 for the Sacramento region. As you may know, vehicles are a major source of emissions, so the Green Means Go program is seeking to promote infill development to reduce vehicle usage. This program was supported by all member agencies of the 6-county SACOG region. From there, SACOG announced the Green Zone opportunity over the past summer. By designating eligible areas, an agency may potentially receive funding for infrastructure improvements to incentivize infill development. Next slide, please. So how it works. The way that it works is that agencies can designate green zones within their jurisdiction that have been classified by SACOG as either a, quote, center corridor area, or, which is, well, it's essentially the commercial zones, or an established community area, meaning that it's already been built up. New and undeveloped areas are not eligible. Also, rural residential areas are not eligible, and ag and other zoning is not eligible. And there's a map on the next slide that I'll show you, and I'll kind of point out the different types of the community areas that they're referring to. So once approved by SACOG, eligible agencies will be able to submit applications for infrastructure improvements needed to support infill development within a green zone. While no funding is currently available, SACOG is seeking to secure some of the state cap and trade funds, or there may potentially be other future funding that the legislature may make available. Contextually, the city has taken a couple of actions in the past with the same goal of attracting infill development. The temporary residential infill fee reduction program was passed in December of 2018 in an effort to replace several vacant, or in an effort to essentially see built several vacant lots in the Old Town area with new housing. Subsequently, in July of last year, the city approved a commercial infill sewer capacity fee credit program to incentivize commercial development. Next slide, please. So this is the map that I was referring to, and I want to kind of apologize a bit for the poor quality of it. Basically, we had to pull this off of SACOG's website. There's a tool that we had to use in order to show this. So what you will see there is what it says, the Galt green zone, and it's that kind of darker green color. What you also see within that green area is a kind of orangish area down in the Old Town portion of the city. And then there's some other orange areas up along Twin Cities Road. These are showing orange because that green is overlaying the more reddish color that you see down on the legend there that shows the center corridor areas. So those are the two center corridor areas. And again, they look a little orangey with that green overlay. And as you can see, the magenta or pink area, that is the new or developing areas. Those are not eligible. And then you also see the light yellow and the light green areas representing both the rural residential and ag and other areas, which are also not eligible for green zone designation. Next slide, please. So as far as benefits, of course, improved air quality, and that's the underlying purpose of the program. And then depending on the type of improvements, better overall system operations and reliability, additional capacity through upsizing of old lines, greater mobility through multimodal elements, such as bike and pedestrian sidewalks, and job creation. Also, improved overall economics for both businesses and residents. And then finally, additional sales and property tax revenue to support city services. Next slide, please. So as far as what's next, SACOG requested applications be submitted by agencies by October 30th, which we did. Council action was not required to do that. However, SACOG, in addition, wants a resolution from the agency's governing body, our city council, by November 30th to confirm the agency's commitment. If the council elects not to approve this item tonight, the submitted application will be voided. If, however, council does approve this item tonight, staff will forward the executed resolution to SACOG and work with them to identify potential projects if and when funding becomes available. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Member Vice Mayor Lozano.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but I certainly ask my colleagues to support this effort. I believe this is good for the city, and it will certainly allow us to secure other funding to help offset taxpayer dollars here in the city. Thank you to Mr. Selling for continuing to work with SACOG staff on these items. And like I said, I think this is good for our city.
Thank you. Council Member Farmer.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation, Mike. Could you give me an example? I'm thinking, could you give me like a specific example of what kind of projects we would be talking about in this area? Is like if we were to get this money?
Yeah, and so probably, kind of one of the real good ones that you brought up, gosh, I'm going to say a couple of months ago or so on B Street, you were concerned about the poor quality of the pavement there. And essentially we are too, and would like to pave it, but we've been kind of holding off, hoping that there'd be some of that development occurring on those couple of vacant lots over there. And, but the big hurdle has been, and I think there's been some interest in the past, to develop those lots, but having to extend the the water and sewer lines has kind of been the significant financial hurdle that the potential applicants haven't been able to jump. Follow the analogy. So this program, essentially, by designating this area as a green zone, assuming that SACOG could secure some funding, then we would work with them to hopefully identify the improvements that could be made to put in that utility infrastructure, and then that takes that hurdle away, so that the next time somebody comes looking to potentially put in some housing there, they won't have that, that burden to meet, and it should make the project, pencil much easier. And so that's one example. I think, there could be other ones where, if there's a sidewalk gap or something like that somewhere, that we might be able to get some money to close, that gap, and put in a bike lane or something somewhere too that would be eligible under this program. So those are a couple examples. I think that again, it's just another way that we can keep our options open to to go after some money if and when it materializes.
Okay, so that was my next question about B Street. I was thinking of you the other day, Mike, because I went down and think I threw my truck out of alignment when I hit a pothole over there.
Uh-oh.
I know you guys are wanting that done as bad as I do, but so we're talking about lots, like, are you referring to like maybe the lots at like the corner of B and 5th, and then I think
Yeah.
B and 6th, I think, is the other
Yeah,
lot.
there's another one between 6th and 7th. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right, the one behind the church.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying is if we can secure this funding, that we might have the ability to help with that infrastructure monetarily, should we have somebody that's interested in developing those areas. That's what you're kind of...
Yeah, we could either do it, one of two ways, depending. We could either do a project ourselves as the city, or it may be a way to, incentivize for the development project to, to put that money forth for their contractor to put in the facilities.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mike. I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Sure.
Council Member Campion.
Nothing to add. I agree with what Councilmember Lozano said. Thank you.
Council Member Lamson.
Yeah, thank you. My internet, Comcast went down. So anyway, yeah, thank you. That's fine. Came in on my phone.
Thank you. First of all, I thank you, Mr. Hind and Mr. Selling, bring that agenda item to us. And also, I'm going to support that green zone. But before I support, I have a couple of questions I would like to ask Mr. Selling. Mr. Selling, one thing, that green zone is the whole city, or there is some spaces you left? Why that left, or what is the reason?
It should be the whole city, except for, like I said, the new developing portions out near like Liberty Ranch or the Notch annexation that was recently completed. But essentially, we've drawn the line around the whole, existing developed city. And so it just gave us the opportunity to potentially put a project anywhere. Now, I would tell you that if and when money comes along, we would certainly target it toward, areas like what I was just, giving the examples in response to Councilmember Farmer's questions. So.
Thank you. My next question is, if we adopt that this is a green zone, right now we have a requirement if any developer, anybody like want to build a house or want to do something, a business, there is some requirement for the city to get the project, like get a permit, get the building permit. If we make the green zone, there is anything you see, they might we have a more requirement on Pacific or off the lot, because sometimes when you get grant, it comes with some kind of requirement, and your knowledge is nothing, it will be the same.
Yeah, and of course there's no money now, and we don't know what those requirements may be, for whatever funding may come along, but we would certainly work with SACOG staff, and identify, a project or projects that do meet whatever funding criteria there may be. I think, the biggest one, obviously, though, the whole purpose of this program is to, reduce air emissions and improve air quality. And so it really is in reducing, trips, vehicular trips. So those are going to be, I think, the key criteria that SACOG is going to require of us in submitting any potential projects. So we will need to meet those first and foremost. And then, secondarily, well, maybe not secondarily, but equally, I would say, any additional requirements that may be tied to the funding that may come along.
And the other thing, the other thing is, these funding, we maybe, I'm talking about, you don't know yet, we maybe use sidewalk, water and sewer and that kind of stuff. If somebody develop any house built is too far from the sewer and water.
Could you say that last part again? I'm not sure if I followed you there, Mayor.
If somebody built that house is sewer and water already 400 feet from where it's building, so that kind of grant we maybe can use to fund that. Or
Possibly. Again, I think what SACOG is going to require is that we can show, that the project would essentially have some benefit to air quality and reduce trips, so to speak. Those are going to be their key requirements before they're going to give us, any money through this program. So it's going to be a case-by-case basis, I would say. So it may not, but I think the proof is going to be upon us to show that that there is that air quality benefit, there is that infill development aspect to the project.
Mike, thank you for your explanation. And there is any public comment out there?
There is nothing from the attendee side, no hands raised.
And no written public comment.
Vice Mayor Lozano, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think just to kind of clarify a little bit, SACOG does funding a couple of different ways, but certainly competitive way of funding has been kind of the way things have been happening in the past. I suspect that we're going to be asked for a call. There's going to be a call for projects. We're going to have to prioritize them probably within our own organization. And Mike and his staff have done a great job in the past of coming up and really identifying those priorities at council direction. And then, it's just going to be, like you said, I think a case-by-case basis, but certainly this is so in line with what we have done as a council back in 18 and 2019 about trying to help out infill projects. And so I think we throw that in there into the mix, as well as some really good projects that I think that we would have. And I think we're real competitive. We've done the background and all the background work that's going to be required. I think we'll be real competitive, and I thank Mike and staff for their work to set us up and put us in a place to be successful.
Can I respond to that real quick, Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Lozano makes an excellent point, and what I would say too, that I think we're even better positioned is in my conversation with SACOG staff. There's really not all the agencies are submitting for green zones, so I think that we'll be in a smaller pool, and that makes us more competitive yet. So, thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Farmer.
Mike, I was just curious, can you clarify again on the map? I don't know if maybe you can even bring that slide back up, but you say the map with the orange, well, it looks orange because of the color overlay, but that those are the areas that could be considered, or is it a broader area than just those two? I was kind of confused by what.
Those areas can be considered. Those are the center or corridor areas. And so that's included as well as the rest of what is actually that darker green color.
Okay, so the whole dark green area really is any of the area that qualifies.
Yes, anything inside the boundary, if you will, of that dark green area. And I know it gets a little confusing. Like I said, the SACOG's online tool left a little to be desired for this, but yeah, that orange, or what is the red center corridor area along Twin Cities there is included. And same with the orange area and the Old Town areas. So that's all eligible.
Okay, it just looked like from my map that we were actually talking about B Street. I didn't think it was even in that range, but it's hard to tell from your map. But it doesn't matter if it's the whole green is really all that's is available. So
Correct.
anyway, that
Correct.
okay. Thank you, Mike.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mike. Any council member, anybody have any comment? If it's not, then I'm going now to entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion by Council Member Farmer, second by Vice Mayor Lozano. Tina, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano,
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer,
Aye.
Councilmember Campion,
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson,
Aye.
Mayor Sandu.
Aye. Motion passes with 5-0. Thank you. Next agenda item I. Tina, there is any communication?
Not this evening.
Okay, the next item is city clerk's report.
Not this evening.
All right. Comments by staff. Mr. Hines, you want to take care of that, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you, thank you. I'll keep my personal comments brief tonight, but I would like the citizens in Galt to know that the city of Galt has launched a LinkedIn profile for the city, and it will allow us to push information out about the city and the things that are going on in the city, some of the events. It also allows us to put recruitment announcements out as well. So feel free to follow the City of Galt on LinkedIn, and you'll be connected to us. And Mayor, that concludes my comments. So I'm going to I'll start with our Human Resources Director, Stephanie Van Stein, to see if she has any further comments.
Yes, good evening, Council. As Lorenzo mentioned, we do have our LinkedIn account working now for the City of Galt. So we have started doing some advertisements for some of our job openings. Right now, our full-time job openings, we have accounting manager. We are still doing recruitments for police dispatcher, police officer, and public works maintenance worker 1/2. We also have some part-time openings as well. We have openings for Parks Maintenance Worker 1, Parks Worker 2, and Recreation Worker 1 or 2. And anyone who's interested can go on our webpage under Human Resources and the Job Opportunities link.
All right.
So that's it for me this evening.
Thank you, thank you. Parks and Rec Director Armando Solis.
Yeah, Mayor and City Council, I just wanted to inform you that we've postponed our youth basketball program. Our state guidelines have not come out regarding kids playing sports, and we felt that we shouldn't be taking registrations for that. We'll be monitoring the situation as Governor Newsom has said that he would be providing some guidelines soon, and then we'll follow those. I also want to give an update about the playgrounds. I was asked about playgrounds since we moved back to purple tier. I did not receive any notices that we needed to close those down at this time. I do have my bi-weekly meeting with the county on Friday, and I'm sure that will be brought up. But at this time, everything's still open in our parks, our playgrounds, our restrooms. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If not, have a good night.
Very good, thank you, thank you. Finance Director Claire Tyson.
Nothing further for me to report this evening. Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Interim Police Chief Brian Kalinowski.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to update you on our annual toy drive that is currently underway here in Galt. As you know, that's a partnership with the Galt Police Department and Consumnes Fire District. And so we have approximately 400 youth who have qualified to receive a gift from Santa this Christmas season. We'll be handing those out on December 20th. But in the meantime, we're going to be doing some gift receiving, and that will start on Friday, November 27th at the Galt Police Department, Galt Smog on North Lincoln, Walmart, and then during normal business hours at Station 46 on Walnut. In addition, on December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, we're going to participate in the Sirens with Santa in partnership with Consumnes Fire up at their headquarters on East Stockton Boulevard. That address is 10573 East Stockton Boulevard. Each night between 7 and 9 p.m., folks can come do a mini drive-through of displays that the Elk Grove Police Department, the Galt Police Department, and Consumnes Fire will have, and we'll be accepting toy donations at that time. And then on December 5th, we have one that the mayor is organizing. I will defer to him for that, but I do have that information if he wishes me to push that out. We do appreciate everybody's participation, and we did have overwhelming response this year, in part due to COVID-19. And we'd like to thank everybody in advance for any donations they do make. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Chief. Public Works Director, Mike Selling.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Yeah, you know, the rains have started, and we've actually gotten a couple calls already about sandbags. And while we are not doing sandbags yet, we'll obviously be monitoring, you know, the situation as the season progresses. But since we're just getting started, there's no need for that. There's no flood warnings or anything like that. So, yeah, the season started, and just keep those leaves and stuff out of the gutter, and we should be able to avoid any flooding. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Economic Development Manager, Amy Mendez.
Good evening again. Briefly, just to follow up on Armando's comments in regards to the playgrounds, those are allowed to stay open under the purple tier. So I don't think that we're going to have any issues with our playgrounds remaining open for right now. Did want to touch on, just follow up to what Lorenzo had mentioned about LinkedIn. The city is also going to be launching an Instagram page within the next week. So we'll be posting that on our Facebook with a link to the page, and look out for the invite to all of the folks in the Galt area for the Instagram for the City of Galt. And that's the tag it's under, is City of Galt. So that'll be within the next week or so. It should be up and running. And that's it. That's all I have this evening.
Very good. Thank you. Community Development Director, Community Development Director, Craig Hoffman.
Council members, nothing tonight. You will be busy with me in upcoming months, but I've given you the night off. So thank you so much.
I'm sure that's appreciated, Craig. City Attorney, Kimberly Hood.
I don't have anything further tonight, but I did want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving next week. It's hard to believe it is just next week. And given this year, I think we all deserve to hopefully enjoy a healthy Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving.
Very good. And I would also like to echo Kimberly's comments and wish the council, staff, and the citizens of Galt an excellent Thanksgiving. And hopefully everybody stays healthy and safe, and just make the best of it. And personally, I'm looking forward to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. That'll finally, you know, it'll bring some joy to my week. And Mayor, that concludes our comments. Oh, I'm sorry. A couple more folks. City Clerk Tina Hubert, any comments?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
All right. And our admin analyst, Rose Rodacker, any comments?
Nothing from me tonight. Thank you.
All right. All right, Mayor, that concludes our comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Comments by City Council. Vice Mayor Lozano.
Yeah, I'll be short tonight. Just I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season coming up, and I know it's been tough on a lot of folks the last several months with the pandemic, but certainly take the time to take your packs off for staff and relax with your families. I encourage everyone to participate in the toy drives coming up. This year will be a little different, I'm sure, but thank you all for your participation ahead of time, and look forward to a successful December coming up. And thank you all so much.
Thank you. Council Member Campion.
I just, that everybody have a safe and healthy holiday. That's it. Thank you.
Council Member Lamson.
Yeah, I wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I know this is disappointing getting back into this tier. I had gotten word from Mclaughlin and the Community Development Department that the Youth Commission could go out and pick up garbage because we were in a different tier, and we were so excited to go pick up garbage. And then we're trying to get the word if we can still go pick up garbage now they're back in purple. You never seen so many kids excited to want to go pick up garbage because we adopted a street. So hopefully I'll get some word on that. Amy, if you know anything or anybody knows. Mondo?
It was my understanding through the county that you were able to do that as long as you wore your mask, gloves. So going into the purple tier should not have changed anything.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I told them they could not come if they weren't wearing mask and gloves, so that's good. And I want to just remind people that if times are tough for a lot of people out there, if you need some food or you need something to make ends meet, the Sunshine Food Closet, you can get a hold of them. Real Life Church has a food pantry that looks like a grocery store twice a month. So don't be shy to reach out and get some help during this time. And hopefully everybody can have a Thanksgiving, a COVID-free Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Council Member Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things. One, quickly, if I could ask Mr. Hines if it would be possible for Ms. Van Stein or possibly our Ms. Mendez to post those job openings on our social media. I know that they're always posted on our webpage, but it's a little difficult to kind of find them. And again, people have to go look for them. I think it'd be more proactive if we could push those out on our social media pages that those positions are open. I think it would be a lot better. And then I had another item that I would have brought this to you before, but I had a couple seniors have reached out to me, one again today, that is asking about the difficulty in paying their utility bills with cash. I'm not sure if he knows, but there is quite a few people, especially widowers. My dad was one of those that would always pay with cash. So they can't pay with a credit card. They don't use checks, and they don't want to go pay, $10 for a money order or whatever because they're on a fixed income. And they're upset because they can't come and pay their utility bill with cash. And so I guess this gentleman that's reached out to me today had spoke to finance department, and they said, well, we can't let you come and pay with cash or something. So I'm not sure exactly what the dialogue was with that, but I think we should be making whatever possible arrangements, whether or not it's they show up at the door and they can call a phone number that's at the door, and then someone could come at the door and take their money and then bring them back the change. I'm sure that there would be some way we could facilitate an arrangement that would allow these people to pay their bills. I mean, they're trying to give us their money. And I think for seniors, a lot of things are difficult right now. We don't want to try to create more red tape in that process. So if maybe you could look into that, Mr. Hines, I would greatly appreciate that. See what we could do. And then also, I don't know, typically this year, a lot of us council members participate in the community dinner that I think Rotary, if I believe, is one that kind of spearheads that. And I don't remember the conversation briefly recently, but I think they're trying to facilitate some sort of drive-through type dinner, so they still have it because there's so many people in need, but not, of course, bring everybody together in a large place. So I don't know if you're aware of those detail or whatever, but if Mr. Hines, if you could reach out to the Rotary and or whoever organization and see if that's something that's still going on, and then if it is, if you could brief the council, so those of us that want to be involved in that to volunteer can be a part, because like I said, there's more people in need than ever, and I don't want something like that to not transpire this year. So if you could please let me know, and I'll try to do the same. And then last, just
got it. Council member, we just wanted to let you know we are working with the Rotary on that particular event. Director Solis and the Rotary are in constant communications about that event. And so I just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. And also, while I have this moment, we have been pushing our recruitments out through social media. We actually pushed out the latest recruitments out through LinkedIn last week. So we hear you, and we'll definitely be utilizing social media for that information.
Okay, thank you. And the last thing is just to echo the sentiments of my other council members, to wish everybody a safe and happy Thanksgiving. I know we'll be back together again before Christmas, so but this will be the last time before Thanksgiving. And I know there's in such dire times, there's plenty to be thankful for still. So hopefully everybody has a good time, safe, and that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. I would like to say thank you for everyone, council members, staff working hard, especially join the meeting tonight. And also thank you if anybody online from the public. And I also like to remind everybody the COVID cases is increasing. So keep social distancing, whatever we can do, the safety is first. And I also, on the other hand, I very felt hard feeling with the small businesses. This is the second time from the governor take his instruction, have to half of the business close. And hopefully we all need to work together, all the citizen, all the small business. I'm sure we will succeed at the end. Thank you. And I also, lastly, I would like to Thanksgiving with the happy Thanksgiving. I know this year can be different than last year due to the COVID-19, but happy Thanksgiving. Everybody have a good night. Anybody have any question, any comment? If it's not, then I would like to adjourn their meeting. Again, thank you for everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.